Aloha, Transpac race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis here for our Day 2 race analysis of this year's 2021 Trans-Pacific Yacht Race, otherwise known as the Transpac. We are starting out the show with, as we usually do, with this YB tracker software. This is a browser version, and in yesterday's show I gave a little bit of a tour of how this operates, so I won't burn too much time in today's show showing that again. One thing I did not show yesterday with any length are these features here. These are leaderboards and the teams that are entered in the race. So the leaderboard here gives you an idea of who out on the race course is doing well. There's a few different drop downs you can look at. This is in line honor, so this means that the fastest boats will be at the top of the leaderboard, those that are getting down the track quickly. Obviously, with only one of 3 waves that have started this race, it's just the first wave of 7 boats that are shown here now. You can opt to also see this from the start or within recent. And I'm not quite sure what recent means, if that means between recent skeds or just in the last hour. I'm actually not sure. I'll have to ask the YB folks that. But honestly, recent is less relevant, I think, now because as we'll see later in this race, trade wind sailing is going to be what everybody's going to be in. There's not going to be any big wind shifts or anything that might change the standing significantly within the different skeds. So line honors, and then you can divide this up into who is doing well in handicap. They use the ORR handicap system here. It's a VPP-based system that has a model of the race course, a Transpac race model of wind speeds and wind directions, and the ratings are calculated from that. So using those ratings, which are in time on time, and looking at the rest of the distance left to sail, based on, and then also a projection of where they would be and how much time it would take to complete the course based on their recent speed. Then from that you can calculate some standings. So we'll go into that more as we get more of the fleet out on the course and do some other analysis. But just wanted to show you these tools. And then you can look at things by division. In this race we've got 8 divisions. The slowest boats in the course are in Division 8, and they started yesterday. Oh, here we go, Division 8. We can isolate our standings and looking at the leaderboard by divisions. So that's a handy tool to use. And then for teams, this just gives an alphabetical list of the entries. And when you click on somebody who you are like to follow, you can look at where they are out on the course. And when you click on their name, they come up highlighted here and easy to find. This is a nice tool when you've got a lot of boats that are clustered together and you're having a hard time finding your favorite one. So this is a useful tool for that. And then of course when you bring up the you put your cursor over that icon, you'll get some information on that boat, how fast they're going, what their heading is, who the owners are, where their position is, distance left to the finish, and then distance they've traversed in the last 24 hours. So that'll be an interesting thing we'll track in these analyses. Okay, so zooming in a bit, let's see how our first our first wave is doing. They are almost 48 hours into this race now. Actually, I'll go one out. Yeah, there we go. That gives a little better idea on where everybody is. And this is, remember, we're on Hawaii Standard Time, so 1 o'clock Hawaii time, which is 4 o'clock local here in the Pacific Coast. As you can see here with the green wind, remember our wind scale and color is down at the bottom of the frame here where my cursor is. This is based on the windy compilation of different weather models that they use for their predictive tools. And green is pretty solid breeze, up to 20 knots in the high teens, maybe a bit more. And as you can see by the nice straight tracks that the boats are making, they're off and running. Our leaders in Hokolohe, did I say that right? I'll get it by the end of the race. they're chugging along quite nicely, 9.3 knots, clearly jumping out. But they are the largest boat in this class, and of course, the others have handicaps to try to equalize that. I'm noticing here too that the size of the icons of the boats are roughly proportional to the sizes of the boats themselves. So at 57 feet, you can see their icon is proportionally larger than here. Juno is an Express 37. Now there's two Express 37s in this class. The guy's on Juno, and up here is Spindrift 5. So they're similar boats, same design, almost the same ratings, and you can bet that they're watching each other closely, and we'll have a race within a race surely. Let me blow up one more level here, and here in the start line. Remember yesterday's show, we had the boats caught up a little bit in that Catalina eddy in the first 24 hours, and then just starting to get off of that. Very clear line here between those the lighter air that's diverging away from the strong coastal synoptic breeze, and these guys here on Nalu 5, they took, as you see, a low road. If you remember from yesterday's show, when they got in the eddy, they made a sharp turn to get to the south. Now a Cal 40 is not the same speed as these other boats. At 5.8 knots. They looks like they haven't quite yet got into this stronger breeze. That boat should be capable of 7.5 knots in these good conditions here. The one I'm curious about here is this team from Alaska on the Stevens 47, the Micmacs. Not quite sure what they're doing. It's saying only 1.5 knots. Obviously taking their time. We had actually, I'll share with you some comments that came in this morning's position reports. And from the Micmacs guys, they said, wrapped up our extended tour of the Channel Islands, now we're heading west. So you can see by their previous track and some of the others, they doing a few donuts out there and kind of going around in a few circles in the eddy. The other guys having a little bit more straighter tracks. But in any case, eventually they'll pull out into the strong breeze and get going toward Hawaii. Now let's look at the weather. Remember, you've got to pull the position bar all the way to current time in order to get the weather to come up. Now we'll actually go back out to look at a bigger picture here. So good, strong northerlies along the coast. Let's see how this evolves as we go forward in time based on the windy models. So for tonight, for example, the teams will continue to have good, strong breeze. This patch up here off of San Francisco and up further north in Northern California is quite strong, 30, maybe even more knots of wind. That probably won't get down to this part of the course, but nonetheless, it's certainly giving good, strong pressure. Let's go forward a little bit into tomorrow. The other reason we want to look forward into this is to see what's happening tomorrow at start time. We've got the second wave of starters coming in the race tomorrow, and it's just about at this time. So 10 o'clock in Hawaii is 1 o'clock here, and that is our start time for Wave 2. I'll blow this up a little bit more. Here we go. Okay. And in looking at this, and if we're over here in the starting area, I think that they'll have very similar start as the folks did on Tuesday. Light westerlies during the day, beating to get off of the coast. Perhaps, in fact, maybe we should switch models here. We'll go over to the predict wind model that has that fancy grid. There we go. And if we blow this up a little more, and just move ourselves more centered in the course area, Start's going to be right off of Point Fermin here in Palos Verdes Peninsula. And you can see that familiar anti-clockwise rotation that's associated with the eddy. But actually, doesn't look quite as bad as a couple days ago. These guys might get a break tomorrow and being able to get off the coast. Let's see what happens in the model predictions a few hours later. It looks pretty good. It says wind 3.6 knots. It's probably going to be more than that. Thermal typically out here is 8 to 9, even 12 knots, sometimes even a little more for several hours in the afternoon. I know here in this area where we are located at Los Angeles Yacht Club, the breeze came up a little late today. We had a morning, what the locals call June gloom, a little overcast marine layer, and then it just tended to burn off about 1 o'clock. And came in with a nice thermal this afternoon. So if we have the same pattern tomorrow, I think these guys will get off the coast with a great start. So that's it for today, and we hope you can join us again tomorrow. We'll probably do our analysis a little bit later, just so we have at least one set of positions off the starting line. Remember, we're on a 4-hour tracker delay for these groups. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm Dobbs Davis from Seahorse Magazine.